Welcome to the Global Networking Forum of the IAC. We're here to meet, share, and connect, as their motto says. I think it's a very good motto. My name is Franco Bonacina, and I'm with the European Space Agency, the spokesman of the Director General. And we'll be together for an hour and a half, even two, if you have questions. We never know. We'll see when we stop. When you're tired, we stop. So, only a few hundred men and women in the world, out of the 7 billion human beings that share with us our blue planet, have had the chance to go to space. So far, there have only been around 500 space travelers in the world. We have 4 of them here today. It's already a good deal. Some of them, but only very few of them, 24 actually, are in a way a bit more special because they have gone to the moon. And only 12 walked on the moon. But only 2 on the 20th of July 1969 were the first. We have the honor and the privilege today to have with us one of those 2, Buzz Aldrin. He's sitting next to me, and I even can't believe that I would have ever had this chance, which is a unique privilege for myself. Thank you, Buzz. Not so long ago, as you all know, towards the end of August this year, Buzz lost one of his best friends. But not only Buzz, not only him, me, you of the space community have lost a friend. I think that the whole world lost Neil Armstrong. As a commander of the Apollo 11 mission, Armstrong stepped from the lunar module Eagle onto the surface of the moon. There were 500 million people watching them on television. And Buzz followed shortly afterwards. The first steps of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon are today part of the history of humankind, meaning that they go much beyond the history, the boundaries of space history or American history that belong to our history. Armstrong has inspired successive generations all around the world, and it's also for this that he will be always present from generation to generation of countless engineers and scientists. Buzz is here today at the 63rd IAC in Naples to pay tribute to Neil, to share a few thoughts with us and bring forward the inspiration that Neil gave us and the legacy that he left us. I leave the floor to Buzz. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Franco. Is this close enough? Good morning. I would like to thank the IAF for asking me to speak this morning as a tribute to honor Neil Armstrong. I was deeply saddened to learn of the passing of my good friend and Apollo 11 mission crewmate. As mission commander, Neil was the symbol of this remarkable mission. Neil would probably not be very comfortable hearing the many tributes and reflections on his remarkable achievements, as he never wanted to be singled out or to accept praise for his extraordinary achievements, yet he will always be the symbol and the name associated with the Apollo program and with the space program itself. When Neil, Mike Collins, and I were training together for our Apollo 11 mission, we understood the many technical challenges and the risks we faced, as well as the importance and profound implications.
Switch off your mobile phones, please. Whoever that was, don't do it again.
The profound implications of this important mission. There is an inevitable and very special bond that occurs when you undertake such an incredible mission. And now Neil, Mike, and I will always be connected as the crew of the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. Yet for the many millions who witnessed that remarkable achievement for humankind, we were not alone. Everyone who has interviewed me since Neil's passing has asked me about my thoughts on Neil, both personally and professionally. And I think this article, written by Michelle Evans, president of the Orange County, California Space Society, captures my feelings about this great man better than I could have expressed them myself. No better man could have been our first ambassador to another world. Quiet and unassuming, but dedicated to the technology of exploration and the benefits it brought to all of us is what marked his life from the beginning. There is so much that has been said and so much more which will be said in the future for this great man. For Neil, he would simply dismiss it as unimportant. When asked about his achievements, he made sure to always give credit to all those who made his flights possible, without whom nothing he did meant a thing. He could have capitalized on being the first man to the moon, on the moon, but never did so because of that simple understanding that he did not do it alone. Nonetheless, he was the commander of Apollo 11, the one human being who did actually bring Eagle in for a safe landing at Mare Tranquillitatis. Only 5 other moon flight commanders have ever repeated his task, but he will forever be the first and the best. Neil touched the lives of all of us in some fashion. Godspeed, Neil Armstrong. Neil was a consummate test pilot, as exemplified throughout his entire career, expanding the envelope at nearly Mach 6 in the X-15 spaceplane, avoiding a potential disaster with an out-of-control Gemini 8 as he guided it safely back to Earth, staying with the powered lunar landing training vehicle until the very last possible moment, trying to save the vehicle, ejecting just before it crashed, then calmly returning to his office to write up the mishap report so we could learn from his experience, and ultimately taking over to manually land Eagle in a landing zone strewn with boulders and large rocks, with precious seconds of fuel left. Alarms blazing as I attempted to run both the landing and abort rendezvous programs concurrently in our small onboard lunar module computer. Neil would not fail in his primary mission objective to land safely on the moon as a nation, and indeed the entire world held their breath while he calmly announced, "The Eagle has landed." Neil was absolutely the best pilot for the job, and NASA chose wisely in selecting him as our leader, the Apollo 11 mission commander. Neil was a hero's hero. Extreme competence, soft-spoken, choosing to lead by example while exhibiting the highest possible standard of excellence. He was also modest, reflective, and humble. Despite his great gifts and remarkable accomplishments, preferring to work quietly to further the enterprise of space rather than seek fame or fortune, or to benefit personally from the work that he felt so many others had done to make our mission possible. However, Neil would speak up firmly and clearly whenever he felt that the space program was at risk or moving in the wrong direction, despite his personal preference to remain behind the scenes. Whenever I look up at the moon, I'm reminded of that precious moment over 4 decades ago when Neil and I stood on the desolate, barren, yet beautiful Sea of Tranquility, looking back at our brilliant blue planet, Earth, suspended in the blackness of space as Mike orbited above us, awaiting our return. I realized that even though we were further away from Earth than 2 humans had ever been, we were not alone. Virtually the entire world took that memorable journey with us. Although few rarely spoke of it, one of the underlying and strong motivations that we all shared in pursuing Apollo was to honor the challenge that a young, courageous President John Kennedy set for us before his tragic and untimely death, when he called upon NASA and this nation to undertake what became the Apollo program. During his testimony before a joint session of Congress, and again during his memorable speech at Rice University, we also wanted to honor the great sacrifice of our Apollo 1 crew, Gus Grissom, Roger Chaffee, and my West Point mate, Ed White, who perished in the pursuit of this incredible and daunting challenge. Neil also understood that in meeting this challenge, we would be paving the way for eventual human expansion into space, far beyond our first small step, as was very clear in his choice for the very first words spoken from the surface of another world. It is fitting then that as we reflect on the pioneering spirit that defined Neil, that we acknowledge this larger, farther-reaching goal, and that we pursue it with the same determination and enduring commitment to excellence that Neil exhibited in leading us to our first small step. Let us continue this great journey to honor Neil and the crews of Apollo 1, Challenger, and Columbia. Our friend Neil took the small step, but giant leap that changed the world and will forever be remembered as a landmark moment in all of human history. I had truly hoped that on July 20th, 2019, Neil, Mike, and I would be standing together to commemorate the 50th anniversary of our moon landing, as we also anticipated the continued expansion of humanity into space, which our small mission helped make possible. Regrettably, this is not to be. Although Neil will most certainly be there with us in spirit, I will miss my good friend Neil, as I know our fellow citizens and people around the world will miss this foremost aviation and space pioneer. May he rest in peace, and may his vision for our future human destiny in space be his lasting legacy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Buzz. We have the opportunity to take a couple of questions, no more, to Buzz. First one who raises his hands gets the mic. The second one will. The third one, I don't know, but raise your hands, and there's a colleague with a microphone who will take it over to you. Would you mind coming back on the... So who dares? There's a gentleman there. Please introduce yourself, and if you are with the media, state your affiliation in case. Okay, thank you.
Could you please pass the mic?
Hello, Jim McAdams with the Applied Physics Laboratory near Baltimore. The beep that was always with the transmissions from Apollo,
That was to assure everyone that it was not filmed in the Arizona desert.
There's a gentleman there for a second question, if you can hold the mic.
My name is Gautam. I'm from College of Engineering, Pune, India. My question to you is, the mission was to take you to moon and bring you back safely. Have you ever thought about what would have, have you ever given it thought if you had never been able to come back from moon, what would you guys have done? I'm very curious to know what would have, what was the plan of action if the Eagle had not
Safely return.
Yeah.
I think that's one that you're going to put together at the last minute when you realize you've done everything possible not to be able to come back. I don't think there's going to be whining and complaining and trying to point the finger at anybody for why it isn't working. I think it's going to be, well, fortunately we and others in positions of jeopardy like that have not really been given the chance to, not that you wanted, to contemplate those last few moments before the oxygen ran out or whatever it was that would end up terminating the mission. You could ask that of all sorts of people in mines that have run out of oxygen. In the Twin Towers in New York City, you could ask that of all those people who did survive and who didn't survive. It's maybe a morbid curiosity, as is the statement that was prepared for the president to announce in the event. And I guess people wonder, is this abnormal that some figure of authority not be prepared for the success and the failure at the same time? Of course you would have somebody prepare statements for you to contemplate as before you issued some announcement that was indicating an unsuccessful. It's not one of those thoughts that poison or influence adversely the performance that we're all hoping for, which is a very successful outcome, and we're going to do our darndest to make sure that we give that every possible chance up to the last breath.
So with space technology, we improved the system, batteries have been changed, this mic works again, and Julia will be able to hand it over to the next. Julia, would you like to go down there? There's a lady, I think, that raised her hands. Did I see a lady raising her hands somewhere? There's a lady there, right there. Okay.
Hi, my name is Philippa and I'm a student from Australia. I was just wondering where you were when you found out about Neil and who informed you.
I think I was about ready to get on an airplane as usual, and so I had some moments to contemplate the news, and it was a very sad occasion, and there was no turning back at that point. I was committed to do what I think everyone should do, and that is to continue living their lives as successfully as they possibly can.
Simon Evans, UK Spaceflight Medicine, Wiley and ESA. Buzz, you're probably familiar with the overview effect. Looking down on the planet, no boundaries, all one race. Has that stayed with you? Or has that faded over time, the overview effect? Is it still there?
Well, I get tired of hearing that over and over again. It's about the same thing as saying I could cover up the earth with my thumb. The first time is very emphatically remembered. The 10th time is not. Of course, there are no boundaries to be visible from space. You have to have a good sense of geography just to look down and figure out where you really are. In one of my fictional stories, I felt that it was very necessary to have a camera that would point down and would indicate exactly where you are. What is it that you're pointing at? And that's not so difficult to do. The spacecraft knows exactly what it's pointing at, and all you have to do is have a coordinate transformation, and you could give that wonderful information to the person trying to take a picture. It hasn't happened yet because obviously there's not an insufficient need for that sort of thing. But it is one of those phrases that I guess gets picked up as being meaningful. What is behind that is not that you can't see boundaries, but it is that being in space, you are an emissary from all of the Earth for the time that you're in space, and you don't belong to one part of the Earth or any others. You're a representative, and I think our Outer Space Treaty and other things remind us of that. But specifically, you can say, "Oh, I couldn't see any boundaries from space."
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Buzz, and I would recommend that we give a big round of applause, but it has to be twice as strong. Once for him and once for you. Okay.